So a lot of you guys have been waiting to see where this Camry wagon's going to go, and here is where it's going to go. It is going to go to Beeton, Ontario, and the reason why it's going to go there is because I bought this off a gentleman that lived in Beeton. He knew my grandfather, and he asked me, if I sell you this car, it's got to go to Beeton. Yes, I did buy it at a gas station, but when I went to pick it up, that's when I found out he lives in Beeton and knew my grandfather. So this car is going to Beeton, but we have something very, very important to tell you guys about Beeton Demolition Derby this year. Beeton Demolition Derby was my first demolition derby back when I was 17, and I consider it to be one of my hometown shows. And it's a great fair. It's a very stock show, so if anybody that wants to get into the sport can get into the sport. And the payouts are fantastic. So to help the fair out this year, Cassandra and I and Zacks Workshop have decided to sponsor the fair for all the trophies. So you will get a trophy for being a heat winner, coming third, big car and large car, sorry, big car and small car, second, and first. So these trophies are not small. So as you can see, that's how large they are to the size of a spray paint can. They're about 13 inches tall. They were cut out by a friend of mine that does powder coating and laser table cutting. And if anybody's interested, I can pass you on his information if you'd like to get stuff cut yourself. But by doing this, I'm trying to help out the fair. And last year, they didn't have any prizes for winning your heat. And that is one thing that a lot of these new drivers really like, is to bring home a trophy. And sometimes winning the heat is all you get. So I am a firm believer in bringing back heat winner trophies. So we have 7 heat trophies here. So these will be mixed between small car and large car. And then first, second, third in the finals will get their own trophies. But let's break down the rules so you guys know what to do and how to build your cars to go to Beeton, Ontario. Because that's the last thing I want, is you to bring an overbuilt car and have to be told to cut, or even worse, being told that you can't run. So basically, Beeton's rules are no Volvos, no Eldorados, that kind of thing. They don't really limit too much, just no Eldorados, no Volvos. Basically what they limit, no all-wheel drives, that kind of thing. The rules say wheelbase of 103. Now, that is V6. As soon as you're V6 and 103, that puts you in big car. If you're basically any 4-cylinder, like Toyota Camrys, Honda Accords, that are 4-cylinder, Cavaliers, Neons, basically any 4-cylinder car is small car. So this is what I'm taking. This is I believe it's a 95, 96 Toyota Camry. Now, their rules are basically like everybody else. Battery's got to be on the passenger side floor. Gas tank's got to be in the middle of the back seat, which is basically par for course around here. The one rule that is very unique is you have to have a red light in the center of your top of your windshield, and that is to let the fire department know when your fuel pump is on and off. The only way you don't need that light is if your vehicle's carbureted. So they also, for mini cars, mini cars absolutely require a inside driver door bar, a post to post, and minimum a passenger door bar. So that way you have the letter C around you. You can also come from the post to post on a 45 to the passenger side floor, but that is not necessary as long as you have a letter C around you in the car. Now for large car, you only need a post to post. It's not mandatory, but is highly recommended, but cage in a mini car is mandatory. If you show up with no cage, they will not let you run. But they've started to allow the doors being welded 6 spots per door, so that's a nice little thing there. No double tires, no fluid in tires, no foam in tires, so that's pretty fair. It's a very sandy track, so realistically the most aggressive tire is really not the best because you'll dig yourself a hole. Another thing that Beeton requires is that all door handles be removed. They do not want these being hit and being thrown by the tires into the crowd. So all door handles, mirrors, all windows, all outside trim of the car, basically anything that can be ripped off or smashed off has to come off. And that is pretty much what needs to be done for the cars to there. So you have the light on the dash, the cage. Now let's get into what you can do to make your car better for the demolition derby. Now underneath the hood over here, you're not allowed to really do too much. No homemade motor mounts, no chaining the motor down. You're allowed to move as much electrical as you want. Obviously the car still has to run though. Brakes are a must. They do check your brakes before you go into the ring. And the last thing that they're going to start letting us do is bumper swaps. Now these bumper swaps, you can't go crazy. You can't put a full-size chrome Chevy bumper on the front of a Mini. What you're allowed to do is put an appropriate size rebar bumper on the front of this. Like for example, what I'm planning to do is take off this bumper, which is a 92 to 96 Toyota Camry, and I'm going to put a 97 to 2001 Toyota Camry bumper on the front of this. Just something a little bit stronger than factory, but still gives it the rigidity that it needs. And to hold the bumper on, it must be bolted, and a 1 inch or 1 inch onto frame, 1 inch onto bumper strap can be welded on the top to help hold bumper on. No threaded rod, no added steel, no solid suspension, no nothing like that. But the bumper rule will be enforced, and it is going to be the discretion of the officials. There will be no angle iron allowed to be added to the front of this. No L brackets, no reinforcing of any kind other than a small piece of steel to the top of the frame. And I'm just going to basically swap out the bumper, bolt it on, add a little bit of steel, and hopefully she stays on. I don't see why it won't. These bumpers usually stay on pretty good. A hole must be cut in the center of the hood and the center of the trunk for firefighters to be able to access it. Now my plan is just to basically build this car 100% stock, seat belt the doors closed, do my bumper swap, and that is it. If you want a chance to win this mini trophy, you better come to the Beeton Demolition Derby and go in the ring with me with this Toyota Camry. The Derby is on September 17th. Tech opens at 10 a.m. Be there before, I think it's noon. So be sure to be there, guys. Hopefully I'll see you there. And you'll be seeing me there, that's for sure.